We're living in a world where connection, entertainment, attention, people, we can connect it like this, can't we? It is so instantaneous and available everywhere. So why do we always feel so disconnected, so numb, and genuinely just unenthusiastic about everything really? Apathy has become a pretty frequent companion to quite a lot of us, and it's an emotion and it's a feeling that can be overwhelming, but also incredibly difficult to spot. It's a little bit like being in a rut where mustering up any kind of energy to do anything just feels impossible. Because imagine this, right? You're sitting on your sofa, laying in bed, whatever, you're just scrolling through TikTok, Instagram, mindlessly scrolling for hours on end, feeling like you're in a bit of a rut and you can't really escape. You tend to stay up a little bit later than you should, just to feel a little bit of a sense of freedom, just like you have a bit more control over your life, because you know the moment you go to sleep, it's all just going to start all over again. That's apathy in action right there. Or maybe you're in a relationship that's seriously not good for you, but you stay anyway because it's comfortable and it's better than being alone, right? And having bad company is better than having none whatsoever, isn't it? Or at least that's what you think. And that's once again apathy at work, sabotaging you every turn you take. I think one of the biggest killers is when we just find ourselves just feeling so numb and we're no longer excited or enthusiastic about anything, whether it was a person, whether it was a game, whether it was a show, just a hobby we did, it doesn't matter. It's just, we just don't feel anything about anything. Overwhelming feeling of emptiness takes over and it really feels like there's nothing we can do about it. And no matter how hard we search, we can't seem to find anything that gets rid of this feeling. It's just always there with us. This impending sense of doom, the emotional fatigue, a sense of being just so depleted, is this experience so many of us feel, probably a lot more often than we should. It's like running on empty and doing anything, even the things you enjoyed, feels like you're about to go and climb a mountain. And it feels like no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to be able to climb it. It's like a fog that's just so hard to lift. And enjoyment and excitement just feels a little bit like a distant memory really. Everything just feels grey. And let's not forget the sheer exhaustion that comes from keeping up a facade, because let's be honest, we're not going to tell people we're not okay. We're going to keep it inside, aren't we? So the amount of effort we need to put in to make it look like we're okay is probably one of the most exhausting things we have to do that entire day. And when you have to keep that up for a while, well, it can get to you a little bit. It can get to you. You know, the causes of this are pretty complex and there isn't just like a right or wrong answer here or a pointer here that says, oh, it's because of this. But one thing that is certain is that something clearly needs to change. Something needs to be looked at, something needs to be done differently. Either way, some sort of action and some sort of plan is needed. I'd say there's probably three main things it can come from. One of them being no fulfillment from your day-to-day job. And there's nothing exciting on the horizon, there's nothing happening, you're just kind of stuck in the same place in your professional life. Second thing could be the general dissatisfaction with the world around you. So that could be the place you work, place you live, places you go to, the things you do, or the people you hang around with. And clearly, some of those things need to change because they just bore the life out of you. Or the third, not having any kind of clear goal and destination as to where you want to go. And these things don't have to be monumental. They could be small minor changes, because it's actually the small minor changes over time that amount to the biggest of things. Because when big changes happen, you feel them then and there. You feel them for a short amount of time. It's like this overwhelming force coming at you at once. But what you don't notice is those little minute things on a daily basis. They actually amount to the biggest physiological and psychological changes over time. So apathy is like a real wake-up call we can't ignore, and we need to create some sort of plan in place in order to challenge it. Because we've all experienced one of those things at one point in our lives, haven't we? We're just kind of going through the motions, not really feeling anything, having no real sense of direction, we're just doing, and there's not really much point to anything. At least that's how we feel at the time. I've been there myself, a few times actually. It just makes you feel so disconnected, kind of like you're just sleepwalking through life, not really knowing what's going on exactly, but just kind of going anyway, just kind of doing things. And it doesn't really hit you. Then you need to make some sort of change until you reach quite a low point, to be honest. And at that point is where we really need to start taking those small, consistent steps to making a change. So how can we do that? I believe it's putting something into place that you enjoy. You might not feel like you enjoy it right now, but there's a reason you enjoyed it before, right? So you might feel disconnected and a bit empty right now, but by doing it consistently, forcing yourself to do it consistently, I feel like you will eventually bounce back. That might not work for everybody. I know it's something that worked for me and one of my good friends when he was going through something like this before. So just staying consistent with the things you used to do, but in small steps, not jumping headfirst into the whole thing. Because I like to look at it as learning how to drive. You don't just get in your car and go when you're first learning, do you? You get in, you you have an instructor, you have some help, you have someone else, whatever. But you do it for an hour, maybe 2, a week. You come back the next week, you do it again. And then after so many weeks, well, all of a sudden you can drive. You didn't just do 40 hours worth straight away. You did 1 to 2 hours ever so often for an extended period of time. And now you got to your destination, which is learning how to drive. And I believe you can treat a rut or feeling apathy the same way. Just putting in place things that you enjoy and doing them in small amounts consistently for a long period of time. Because by the time we know it, it's going to slowly start overtaking that feeling. It's going to slowly start pushing that feeling out, getting rid of it, overcoming it. It sounds simple, and in theory, it is. Is it easy? Absolutely not. It's very difficult, especially the consistency part. But I really do truly believe if you can put something in place and stick with it for a long period of time, it will eventually take over the other feelings, the negativity, the bad emotions, and it will slowly allow you regain control over what you've lost. Because it's very possible to break from how you're feeling right now. It's very possible to regain interest in things again. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a little bit of time, and it's going to take a lot of energy out of you, but it is possible. For me personally, it's kind of like I mentioned, setting yourself some things that you want to do all the time, consistently, even if it's just a little bit. For me, it was simply carrying out my non-negotiables that I just kind of set myself some time ago that I'm going to do every single day. Did I want to do them? Absolutely not. But I did my absolute best. There are some days I missed. I'm not going to pretend like it was perfect. There are some days I could have done the things I set myself out to. You know, whether I was going to the gym, whether I was posting every day, whether I was working on a brand. Some days I didn't do anything. And that's absolutely okay. Because over the longer period of time, I stayed consistent. So if you have a consistency line and you have small dips somewhere, it's not going to be visible when you look at it over a couple of weeks or months worth of time. If you only did something for 3 days and you skipped out 1, then yeah, you're going to see that. But if you did something for 30 days and you skipped a day, that little thing there, it's not even going to be noticeable. You will not even feel like you skipped a day. And sometimes you need it. After all, you're on your way back up. So take it steady. Don't push yourself too much. Apathy is a real, genuine thing. And feeling so disconnected and feeling like you're just not interested in anything is a genuine concern that we need to look at and we need to get sorted. So just acknowledge the feeling that something's not right, that something needs to change, that something needs to be altered. Accept it, think on it, and then take small, actionable steps every day. And when I say every day, I'm referring back to my point where some days I didn't do anything. However, those days I clearly just needed a little bit of time off, but it was still me consciously making those decisions every day to try and get better. So if you do a work for a couple of days, take a day off. Couple of days, day off. That's also absolutely fine. And eventually we'll find that meaning again. We'll find our reason again, and we will reclaim our minds again. But we can only get there through action. Without action, none of this means anything. None of this will do anything. You have to take small steps forward. You might take some backwards here and there. That's not a problem. As long as you have the initiative and you continue to take steps in the right direction. Because setbacks are inevitable. They'll happen no matter what. No matter how perfect your plan is. No matter how determined and motivated you are. Setbacks are going to be there. And that's okay. As long as after you sort it out, fix it, whatever, you get back on the path and you keep going. Stick to your little non-negotiables and watch how the world around you slowly changes. And the feeling of excitement comes back slowly but surely.